Jumping right into the next two sessions, we'll deal with transformational agritourism. And our first speaker is on the topic of multi and interdisciplinary approaches to eco-agritourism systems analysis. So Romeo will take it away.
Okay, thank you very much.
So I'm going to stay behind the podium. You're pressing down to advance, okay?
Yes, and down to advance,
down.
and upper to come back.
Yeah.
To come back. Okay. Thank you very much for coming here. It's my time now to present my paper, because during the first 2 days I participate and issues a lot of ideas, comments, suggestion, recommendation, conclusion. So it's my time now. So in my presentation, we try to go to show you how the agritourism should be seen as an ecosystem, eco-agritourism system. And of course, from this point of view, to think about how to use some theories to be used in evaluation of the function and services of ecotourism as eco-agritourism system. So, it's not working down? Down. Where? Here?
Yeah, I'm trying to you're pressing
I pressed too much? Too many times?
not there. The second to last one. Not
This
this
one?
one.
No.
Not the button for the red.
Well, which one?
This-
Please,
this-
press you. It's not working.
It's not on the screen.
Yeah, like I've seen. It's not really on.
So it's this one. So as soon as you put it down,
Okay, this one.
yes.
And-
So give her a minute because it's just
Yeah.
not working. on
Okay.
the one.
Please forgive me for this minutes of delay, but I took advantage of another minute at the end of presentation.
Okay. So if you want to just pause here, maybe we'll pause the presentation, but you can continue talking maybe about the background of the study. Or
The first 2-3 slides was just to introduce you in my presentation, to make you more familiar with the terms and the sentences I like to use, because I came from research fields, more academic one. And of course, I made a more scientific approach in assessing the services and function of ecosystem, agritourism ecosystem. So my intention was to borrow some concepts, some instruments, some tools, some ideas, some information from different adjacent or complementary sciences to look at one system as eco-agritourism system, but seen from different points of view and using different tools from different science in a multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary approach. This is my most important what I like to outline to you. It's working? No, okay, no, not yet. Okay, I try in my presentation to make some analogies between ecosystems and some other science. And I choose 5 of these complementary science. First one is physics. And I speak about thermodynamic systems, which could be accepted as analog with the ecosystem, and some function and some definition and some laws of thermodynamic system could be interpreted and used for understanding, better understanding of eco-agritourism system. The second one is a theory system theory. It's a closed-loop system theory based on my background as an automation engineer. I am as background in automation engineer, but I love environment and also agritourism. The third one, it's an analogy between the healthcare system and eco-agritourism, because the human body has a behavior, give to the doctor some sign, some symptoms, and the doctors could evaluate this sign and symptoms and prescribe a receipt or give you a cure treatment just to recover your equilibrium, your previous normal state. The ecosystem is changing, is modifying. The people, the anthropic component of the system, man, came and create damages to the system. But the ecosystem has no voice to say, to tell you, I'm suffering, I have some pain here or here or here. I have pain in wolf, I have pain in insects, I have pain in mushroom. It cannot say anything about that. So you as a manager of an eco-agri-tourism system should understand and to create such sign from the ecosystem to be evaluated by you as the manager of the ecosystem to take some appropriate decision based on these analogies. And one of the most important analogy I made, it's between biomarkers. I don't know how many of you are familiar with biomarkers used in medicine and in practice of medicine. I introduced the notion of eco-markers. Eco-markers having the same signification as biomarker in healthcare system, but eco-markers having a very important thing, being very important for analysis for ecosystem. And I defined eco-markers. I presented some eco-markers by classification, by analogy with biomarkers, because the analogy should be seen clear, and you could, if you know, you understand the healthcare system and the biomarkers, you should understand better what is eco-agri-tourism system as a health care system, or as a body which required some care from some medical doctor, which is a manager of the agritourism ecosystem. These are the main three analogies. No, it's not working. So I know my story, so I can tell you about that. The fourth method and methodology to be used is just, I heard something this morning about octant theories. I don't know how familiar you are with octant theory. This is more or less from literature. It's about a sender which like to confront with a receiver to get a goal. And in this purpose, the sender give a task to a fighter, to an subject, to reach the objective. But somebody else gives some power to other people to fight against. And the fighter to getting the objective is helped by a lot of helpers. So if you are, my first question and kind request was just to think and interpret what I said in strict correlation with what an agritourism ecosystem is. Okay, thank you very much. So going ahead. So started. Okay, this is what I said only. Okay, but should act to fly on. No thread. I can, yes, yes. Okay, I can go further. The fifth method to be used in evaluating or improving the activities to increase the quality of services of the eco-agritourism system, or to improve the function of eco-agritourism system, because it's about ecosystem, maybe you are familiar or not, but ecosystem had a lot of function, 4 or 5, and ecosystem has a lot of services, no more than 5. But if you have some function of ecosystem and some services as output from the system, you should take care to teach somebody to use it. So the educational, okay, try again. It works. Press again. This. I have a finger too.
Yeah, you have a big finger. so
Oh,
that's
yeah,
right.
I need a smaller one. Yeah, it worked. It worked. Thanks. Sorry. Okay, this is my presentation. It's about my presentation, just to understand what I already said. So going now further and faster. My finger is.
Let me transfer you, Romeo. And you just
Yes,
tell
please.
me-
Yes,
yeah,
please.
you
Yes,
just tell
please.
me when you want me to-
Yes, please. I make a lot of animation to rise up, to introduce text, but. Okay. Yes, kind request is just what I said before. Please, the second one. Okay. It's just to think in the next, not 20 minutes, I'm sorry, it remain only 8 minutes, maybe no more. But I think you apologize for that. Give me much more time. Okay, thank you very much. So just to think in terms what I presented already until now, in strict correlation with what an eco-agri system is or could be, just to make the right analogy, to consider if it's familiar for you or not. So the next, about ecosystem function, I'll try to explain you. An ecosystem has some function which are defined as I presented there. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's all, okay, it's time enough to be read. And the second is just the extending the definition of function. Already I present them here to be read by you because I'm free speaker. I'm not reading from the PowerPoint. Now, I suppose the 10 seconds were passed, so click the next. So it's about the ecosystem as agritourism. You see there, it's a food chain in each eco-agritourism or ecosystem. You see the leaf, they are yellow, they are green, they are producers. They are produced by themselves because of photosynthesis activity. They are recreating by themselves. The other one, all of them are consumers. Some herbivore, which eat the green, and some carnivore, which eat the herbivore. And the man, which eat everything. Because I heard about that during this conference, the man is coming to agritourism to eat everything, every time, everywhere. So I wasn't. I was also in some of these agritouristic places. So it's just to understand the chain of the food in, okay. Next. This is a reference. About ecosystem service, you can find the first is most important because it's Millennium Ecosystem Assessment performed in 2005. You can see the services. You can understand and look at them as the services provided by agritourism ecosystem. It's the same. about the interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary approach, a short definition with outlined in word, just to be better seen and maybe better understood. I based on that definition from India, for example. Here it's interdisciplinary, which is slightly different than multidisciplinary, but have the same objective, to put together people from different scientific discipline with different background, working with different tools, instrument, method, concept, and so on, but looking at the same goal, the same object to be studied. So this is my vision, to put people to work together, to cooperate from different point of view to solve the problem of eco-agri-tourism system. So this is my definition, different than the 3-4 definition I heard during the conference, because I see the eco-agri-tourism as an ecosystem, as a natural ecosystem, but also the anthropic system, which I told you about. It's about the intervention of people, of men, coming to obey the nature to his needs, but sometimes destroying, creating a lot of damages to the nature. It's not a boundary very clear between natural system and anthropic system, because ecosystem has his own life, and anthropic system is advancing and advancing and advancing and conquering and conquered the natural system. And of course, this must be kept in an equilibrium. By who? By some decision makers and policy makers at the level of a region, larger or smaller. Okay, the next one. So, what I said at the very beginning, there are several steps. I already I discussed about them very, very fast, but go ahead. Definition of an thermodynamic system for the people which are not so familiar with thermodynamic system. I consider to present a definition with the object I work with. So before to explain how to make analogies. Next one. You can understand, you can see this red on yellow is the most needed way of evaluation, quasi-static evaluation, from one state of equilibrium to another state of equilibrium, each intermediate state being an equilibrium state. Otherwise, we could see a disruptive evolution. This is the equilibrium state, as something happened suddenly, disrupting the function and services of an ecosystem. It's not only one, because the second hurricane, it's a windy, it's a snowstorming, it's floods, a lot of things could there. So these are disruptive, they are not so clear when they come and how they work. So we have to take into consideration this disruption, or let's say the smooth evolution of an ecosystem. Speaking in terms of thermodynamic system, we have open ecosystem, which the general equation is the ecosystem is changing matter and energy with exterior. That means the mass, the matter, initial matter of the ecosystem is the output matter, including what was consumed within the ecosystem. The second one is energy, changing energy. Energy, input energy, and mechanical work. And inside, it's a variation of internal energy. Delta U means internal energy variation. Next one, this could be our case, but we should also think as a closed system, which change only energy with exterior, and the mass, the matter remains the same. Nothing is in and nothing is out as matter from the ecosystem. It's not maybe the case here. About energy, Could tell me somebody, what could you understand by energy input for an ecosystem? I suggest, okay, I suggest you, money. It's an energy for pushing up the development of an ecosystem. It's not heat, it's not wind, it's money, it's investment. Another power, energy, human brain. Human brain can change everything if like to do that. Ecosystem could benefit from the human brain. This is an energy. And everything is changed within an ecosystem. And of course, the output of the ecosystem could be changed. Next one. Isolated, which is not the case, because we are free, we have border free, but it still exists. Example, it's a thermos, which could be used. Now, we should pass them over quickly. There are some law of thermodynamics should be used in approaching the agribusiness as ecotourism. So, go ahead. About entropy, I'd like to speak. How many people is familiar with entropy? The definition is there, is very simple to be understood. Is a disorder of in a system. Here we have a system. A lot of particles are moving here chaotically. You see some order here, no order. So as disorder is higher, the entropy is higher. And what you like to have within your agro-eco-business system, disorder or order? Naturally, entropy is increasing, disorder is increasing. How to stop it? How to reverse the trends? By input energy from outside. Which kind of energy? Money, human brain, and many others. You can change the chaotic movement of components. I take into consideration the movements of animals, the movements of people, of cars, a lot of things. Okay, this is a definition. The second law is just what I said before, to decrease entropy, and to have more organized world. 4 minutes. Oh, okay, next one. You read it. I gave you already this definition. Kind request to you just to look at what I spoke in this relation with agri-ecotourism. Next one. So you see, I'm very operative. So a short stop just to understand the temperature of the ecosystem. It's about moving of components. And here it's a sort of, if it's rising temperature of an ecosystem, this means the movement, the average kinetic energy of the component, something happens there. So it's about temperature higher or high. It's for carnivores should missing some food. There are less herbivore. There are some other issues just to determine that the chaotic movement of the animal. If you are from this area and are looking at directly or by remote sensing from aerial photography or vision or from drones, of course, drones, you can see the movement, and you have to understand something happens there. Maybe if you are staying in an office, you don't see this, but you need to measure something from the system. Okay, the second one. Okay, no. This is very slightly to be moved step by step. Okay, 1, 2, and 1 minute. I finish in 1 minute. 1 minute, my 1 minute. It's larger. Because after me, it's only my colleague. And do they accept to
Romeo, we only have 15 minutes left.
13?
We only have 15 minutes left in the whole session. So the colleagues.
Yeah, okay. I knew that. I knew that. Okay. Now, click. So, open. This is an agritourism ecosystem characterized by state parameters, providing services to outside world. But there are disturbing, many people say, risk, which can affect the functioning of agri-system. Just to have a good management system, now this disturbance acting of the system should be measured from the services output by transducer or sensors, online transducer, and to go to input to be compared with the desired value of the services. And also disturbance by sensors coming in the same summator, just to create a deviation, a delta, which act on the controller, and controller gives some action to be made for improving the quality of agri-system function, to improve the quality of services. This is a closed loop control system. Of course, not so many farmers work with that, but there are a lot of other slides, but you see, it's here, 50 slides. But these 50 slides remain on the platform, yeah? And could be downloaded, could be read it. You have my profile there, you have my email, you can write me, you can ask me, we can detail anything you like about this theory, these analogies. Okay, only one more about no tactile melody.
The end of. Which slide? I'm just going through the slides. Which one do you want to end up on? The very last one?
Finally. But there are some other presentation of my colleague, but this will be associated with the presentation. You can find it on the platform during the conference, after the conference.
Apologize for the technical difficulties, but please feel free to interact with Romeo on the Hoover app, okay? Thank you, Romeo.
Or just after that.
Okay.
I'm available until tomorrow for 58.
And he's open for happy hour tonight as well, so just feel free. Okay. Wonderful. So this brings us to our last session for this section. It's proposed methodology for evaluation of forest ecosystem services provided by a natural park. Thank you. Yeah, welcome. Thank you. Oh, there you go. So down to advance.
Down to advance. Okay, I get it. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here with you today. My name is Gabriela Baciu. I'm coming from Romania, and I'm very glad to present you the results of my recent research, which I'm conducting during the PhD thesis elaboration. My interest is also in ecosystem services, as my colleague Romeo already made a short introduction. If I would say a few words about me, I can tell you that I am an economist. I graduated public management at the Academy of Economic Studies in Bucharest, in Romania. I was very lucky to start working in public administration in a government department which dealt with Romanian accession to the EU. It was a very nice and inspiring experience there. After that, after we finished the negotiations, I decided to make a step out from public administration. So for a few years, I worked as a consultant in public in project management, actually, for various NGOs in Romania, as well as public authorities. So after that, in 2015, I decided to come back in public administration and start to work in an agency, the Romanian Mountain Agency, which is subordinated to the Ministry of Agriculture. Being there, it is a wonderful experience. I participate in many meetings with farmers, organizations, with producers, retailers, and all the actors from the food chain. It was a pity for me to see that the people who are at the basis of this food chain, the farmers, have the fewer benefits actually from their work, because if they don't manage to add value to their products and just sell raw materials, their income is very low. So and also they have very lack of power of negotiate and to promote their own interest, to influence the public policies. So basically, being in this context in which we also have the EU regulation system, in which of course we are involved, but which moving forward which is moving forward with or without you, I can say. And it's up to you if you manage to promote your interest, you as a country, I said. So it's not easy, because in 2 or 3 years you can see that there is another EU directive that you have to implement, and maybe you didn't have time to analyze in deep these provisions, and you have to just apply it, and that's all. So basically, this was the point when I started to think to help somehow to find a solution to link, to balance this gap between public policies and farmers. And then I decided to go back to school and start this PhD at the time when my kids were already in gymnasium. And yeah, I started to read about economics, about environment, about sustainable development, agriculture, and so on. And I discovered this very useful report, in my opinion, which Romeo also mentioned already, is a Millennium Ecosystem Assessment. It's a report produced by UN, United Nations, and published in 2005. And as you can see here, they have ecosystem services are split in 4 main categories, or the functions of ecosystem services. Yeah, so they are, it is this supporting functions, provisioning, regulating, and cultural. And also this report makes a very nice correspondence of the ecosystem services with constituents of well-being of humans, which I find very interesting. And also when researching for my PhD, I found this very interesting and valuable information for me. Many researchers, scientists states that actually we have to have in mind the total economic value of the ecosystems. We have to move from the utilitarian perspectives which focus only on economic value. But when we talk about ecosystem and about their add value, we have to have in mind also ecologic, socio-cultural, and intrinsic value, which are not always marketable. You do not pay for most of them, but of course they have a contribution, an invisible contribution to the ecosystem. I found it also, this concept, very interesting. But at one point in time, the accountant in me, because I also studied accountancy in the university, said, okay, but what can you do with this total economic value? Because you cannot put in the registers, accountant books, you cannot report to the tax authorities, and it seems that it's an abstract notion. But after that, I had a kind of revelation, and this is how I made this scheme. And I thought that this total economic value can be a tool, a very good tool to influence public policy, actually. And if you are able to put on the table of the decision makers such evaluation when you are talking about an ecosystem, and to present them from different perspectives the value of that ecosystem, I think you can influence the strategies, action plans, and legislation which is developed for the respective ecosystem. So I move forward with this research, and benefiting from a grant, I was able to have a contract with a natural park in Romania. Is Bucegi Natural Park is located somewhere in the center of Romania, in a mountain area. It has almost 38,000 square hectares, and yeah, you can see there a map with the park. It is one of the most visited park in Romania, both during summer and in winter times. Most of the activities are touristic because you can ski there and also enjoy the nature. According with our legislation, which is also somehow adapted from some international guidelines, there are 4 areas in the park, meaning that only this 23% of the park is in the sustainable development of human activity zone. So basically you can make economic activities there. The rest of the park is more or less protected. Okay. So I move forward, and I choose some techniques and methods that I learned from my professors from the school to make this research. And I use desk research, brainstorming, and multi-criteria analysis, which I put together in this. When performing desk research, thank you. I selected 5 of the methods, which seems to me to be the most popular and interesting for my goal. And these are shadow pricing, production function, hedonic pricing, travel cost, and contingent valuation. Then I perform a brainstorming on a small group of stakeholders represented by researchers and representatives of the administration of the park, with background in forestry, lodging, biology, and economics, and professional experience between 2.5 and 20 years. And after that, applying the multi-criteria analysis, which is a little bit technical and complicated, but not impossible to do it. So I presented very briefly to my target group, to my participants in the brainstorming, each of the methods that I selected. And as you can see, shadow pricing it's used to quantify ecosystem services such as clean air, water, by comparing them with the cost that should be incurred to benefit from these services in return cost, or to evaluate what the cost will be if no action is taken. Production function is related to the invisible value of ecosystems, such pollination. Hedonic pricing is related to calculating the value of real estates according with the environment. Travel costs is a method with which you can calculate taking into account all the costs occurred to travel somewhere and to see how much it costs. And contingent valuation is the kind of method that use a questionnaire and is applied on a large population and so on. Well, after that, we went through this brainstorming exercise. At the end, because we had two phases, we choose 8 ideas or 8 criteria that we further used in the multi-criteria analysis, and we decided that the methods or the set of methods that we should use to evaluate the value of the total economic value of this park should be this. I hope that you already managed to see a little bit. I will not read them anymore. This is how it looks, multi-criteria analysis. You have to compare the criteria between them and give them some points. 0.5 is if you consider that they are equally important, 0 if one is less important than the other criteria, and 1 if the criteria is more important than the other one. Then I apply the weighting coefficients. This is Frisco formula, is a formula developed by a group in San Francisco, a group of experts. And we go further with this methodology, with applying this methodology. And at the end, we had this unique scoring of each method. And you can, as you can see, method 5 is the one with contingent valuation, received the higher score, and it was followed by method 2 and method 1, which are production function and shadow pricing. Yeah. So these are the results. Okay. So what's next after we establish that that 3 methods are the most appropriate to be used, being the fact that on the first one was the contingent valuation method. I decided that the first step is to elaboration of a questionnaire and the methodology for applying it, and extend the research to a larger target group represented by the whole stakeholders of the park, and apply this questionnaire. And why not replicating this methodology in several parks, because I feel the need to confirm the results, and I'm also curious to see if in other parks we will have different results. Yeah, so I think I managed to stay in the time. Thank you very much. If you have yeah. Yeah, I am generous, so I can offer from this time to Romeo as well. So if you have questions. Yeah.
Any questions from the room? Okay, we do have 3 minutes if you want to make any concluding remarks that you didn't have the chance to do.
Oh, yeah, thank you. What can I say about this research is that more than the results, actually somehow I was expecting these results. So in somewhere in my deepened soul, I knew that this kind of research, contingent valuation by applying questionnaire on a large population, would be large population of stakeholders would probably be the best method to evaluate the value, and also to find the most representative service of the respective park, because this is also another issue that I found in literature, that you have to find the most representative service. Yeah, I was glad to. Yeah, okay, yeah, sure.
To finish.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doctor from Romania. I am Bernard, once again from Uganda. And I realized that your research is almost this, also in tandem with Mr. Ilie, Dr. Ilie's
Yes.
research. In Uganda, we have 10 national parks and quite a number of wildlife reserves. But right now, we are having the exploration and excavation. We are starting oil excavation, and it is in the national park in the Rift Valley sections. And many ecosystems are under stake, are at stake with this involvement. Are there any markers that you have realized or which you have tested that you think are very, very crucial for the value, for knowing the value of, for helping the people to understand the value of the ecosystems, of the different ecosystem services in these areas, especially those which are affected with human activity, like oil and maybe something else, or like in your area, please.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if Romeo, you would like to say something about eco markers? No, it's okay. Well, what can I say related to my presentation as well is that, or I would recommend you to apply this shadow pricing method to see what is the and to compare the value of using the land for petrol extraction, or to conserve the ecosystems, and the value of I don't know, the other benefits, social cultural benefits that they are offers. And yeah, shadow pricing method seems the most appropriate in this case. So yeah, so I suppose that
Sorry, because as you have said, these are like the total, you said total economic value of the ecosystem service, especially the ecosystem services, is not easy to measure. And especially in our country, which is still trying to bring up the its economic stature, it's very, very difficult to present, especially even in policy or in whichever way you would like. Even if you use the scientific methods, it's very hard to convince the people to say that this is what we should remain with and this is what we can put aside. Because right now, all the roads in the national parks are becoming tarmac, and that is already impacting the animals that are within there, please.
I understand, but in the same time, maybe if you can have a such analysis, a such report from a scientific committee, for instance, analyzing with these shadow price methods, and you can put on the table of the decision makers, maybe they will think twice, or they will think a way to mitigate this, because yeah, economic development is important also. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just conclude the session
Yeah.
and we can keep the conversation going.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very
Yeah,
much,
okay,
Gabriela.
okay, thank you.
All right, so that
Thank you.
concludes this session.